Okay, so today we are looking at a way of displaying data again, but it's it's a histogram, and a histogram can be used for when you have continuous numerical data. So if you remember, what were some of our examples of continuous numerical? It would be like, say, the weight, something that you measure, and height. And what it means, generally you'll find continuous data is when you can have like a little part of it. So say for height, you might be 176.5 centimeters. So see how you can have a section of it. Or say time, you might time how long it takes you to do the 3K, and you might say, look, it's 12 minutes and 34.6 seconds or whatever. So it's when you have that in-between number, that's continuous data. So we're going to look at displaying this in a histogram. So a histogram is where we will have the frequency along here, and then we'll have our continuous categories. So say for height, I might have, say, 120, and this could be centimeters or something. So you can see we'll have the categories along there. Okay, so it'll end up being, it'll end up having these bars, I guess you say. But the difference between this and a bar chart is that there's no gaps. Can you see there's no gaps? And obviously a bar chart, we used categorical data along here, where here we're using numerical data. All right, so we're going to look at how to do this on the calculator. So you've got this in your notes, so I'm going to switch over to the calculator in a minute. So we're going to enter these. This was a list of hours worked by 16 students, and we're going to create a histogram. So we need to go pop them in our calculator under lists and spreadsheets. So let's go do that. Okay, so what we're going to do another example here, and we've got, so we're going to do a histogram. So first of all, we need to enter these numbers into our calculator in lists and spreadsheets. So we're going to call it go to lists and spreadsheets, and give your list a name, a label. I didn't know what the data was here. We could have been, I think it was study scores, so if you just want to call it SS, study scores, okay? So let's go do that, and we're going to create a histogram where it has intervals, so where we're going from 30 to 35. So boys, you might just want to add in here, so this got you through all the bin settings, and that was to change these categories. So say if you wanted to go up in 10, say you were going 30 to 40, your width would be equal to 10, okay? So maybe you just might want to write a little note there for that. And you also might want to write a little note that when we wanted to change it to a percentage frequency histogram. Okay, so when you're changing it to a percentage frequency histogram, just write that you went into menu, you went to plot properties, and obviously histogram properties, and you then picked, it was the scale, yeah? So the scale, and then you changed it to a percentage. So that gave us that down there. All right, so that was where we went from this one to that one. Okay, so we've done the histograms on our calculator, and so now we have to describe the graph. This is what happens in maths now. We get the data, we display it, and we like to say what does it show us. So the first thing we're going to look at, and mainly look at today, is we're going to talk about the shape of the histogram. So it depends what it looks like. So if you have a symmetric shape, so what a symmetric shape is, you see this like perfect. If you put a mirror like down the middle, or you cut it in the middle, it would show a mirror image. So that's what symmetric is if you have what we can get when it's the other way. So when you have a tail at the front, this is where we say it's skewed in some way. Okay, so this is down here. So when we have all the big towers at the front and then it tails down like that, that is called positive skewed. It's written underneath, but just, that's a positive skewed shape. And then when you have the tail at the start, so small ones at the start and then the big ones at the end, that is called negative skewed. Okay, so we often comment on the shape. Now, sometimes we have some random ones that are out by themselves. You can see it's not with the other one, and that's what we call an outlier. So we might say this one, we're going to say what's the shape of this bit? Is it negative or positive?
Negative.
Negative. So we would say this one is negative skewed with an outlier. Okay, so pop that one in. That's an example of that. And so we're going to just talk about that. This is what chapter 2